Listen, pal, if you're alive in 2024, whoa, you're likely aware that we're all just too damn plugged in. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that you use your phone too much. That's up to you to decide. But for all except the most iron-willed among us, abandoning the smartphone, whether it's periodically or permanently, may seem like a good option. Enter the dumb phone, or feature phone, aka a basic cell phone that lacks much of the browsing, social media, notifications, and smart features that keep us transfixed on the tiny computers in our pockets. We have listed the best dumb phones 2024 and their key features. You need to consider this to help you choose the best one for you. For more information on the product, as always, I've included a link in the description box down below, which are updated with the best prices on each product. Like the video, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to stay tuned till the end so you don't miss anything. Now let's get started. Number 5. Punkt MP02 Minimalist Mobile Phone. We first reviewed the security-focused Punkt MP02, $349, back in 2019 and thought the features didn't entirely justify the price, but it has improved in every way since then. The 2021 revision of the stripped-down phone has new software that improves battery life and adds 4G voice calling on T-Mobile's network as well as AT&T's. And it supports secure texting, calls, voice messaging, and picture messaging through Pigeon, an implementation of Signal Private Messenger, a feature no other voice phone has. That warrants a full reassessment. Voice phones have several target markets, including parents, seniors, and digital disconnectors. The MP02 is designed specifically for executives and hipsters who feel they're too addicted to their smartphones and need to be forced to pay attention to the world around them. Thus, the $349 price, ridiculous when you consider the minimal feature set, but reasonable if that's what you're used to spending on a nice jacket or a weekend at a B&B. Punkt is a small Swiss company. It makes beautiful and expensive electronics, including an alarm clock, a cordless phone, and a USB charger that evoke mid-20th century design aesthetics. The MP02 is designed by Jasper Morrison, a British product designer who has worked a lot with minimalist Japanese brand Muji. That physical design is the best thing about the MP02. A friend of mine jokingly referred to it as the calculator due to its round, black buttons, but I think the buttons more evoke Mark Newson's work or kooky 1980s design phones. In your hand, it nails the feeling of phoneness. Number 4. Nokia 800 Tough. The Nokia 800 Tough is a small, light, nearly indestructible feature phone with epic battery life. It's a perfect backup phone or even a daily driver if you don't want super advanced smartphone features. Voice control via Google Assistant takes what could have been a frustrating experience and makes it much more bearable. The only real downsides are the camera and low-resolution screen. The Nokia 800 Tough is now unavailable to buy from most retailers. If you're looking for an alternative device, check out our list of the best rugged phones and the best dumb phones. The durability of Nokia feature phones is legendary. The classic Nokia 3310 is still responsible for some of the best indestructible phone memes around. That phone was re-released back at the start of 2017, although it wasn't built like the tank its progenitor was. Enter the Nokia 800 Tough, a Kaio's feature phone that is built to survive. Encased in shock-absorbent rubber with MILST 810 grams compliance and an IP68 rating, the Nokia 800 Tough is a brick. But it's probably a much smarter brick than your last Nokia feature phone. This is the Nokia 800 Tough review. I tested the Nokia 800 Tough for about 10 days in Berlin, Germany on the Bla network. It was running Kaio's v2.52. AMD Global provided the Nokia 800 Tough review unit to Android Authority. Number 3. Doro 6820. The Doro 6820 is a feature flip phone built for older people that doesn't require all the bells and whistles normally associated with smartphone ownership. It handles the bare essentials of texting and calling with minimal fuss and expense. There's no fiddly touchscreen to be found here, just large physical buttons, an intuitive UI, and even a dedicated emergency assistance button on the phone's rear. In all these respects, it's quite similar to the Nokia 2660 then, yet it costs quite a bit more money. So is the Doro 6820 as simple and pleasant to use as it purports to be? And does that justify the extra expense over the Nokia rival? Let's find out. Doro 6820 review. What do you get for the money? With an asking price of £100, the Doro 6820 isn't expensive by smartphone standards, but it's one of the pricier feature phones on the market. For example, the aforementioned Nokia 2660, which focuses on a similar delivery of features, costs £65. However, hold these two ostensibly similar flip phones side by side and the extra expense at least becomes understandable, if not obvious. The Doro 6820 presents a higher quality feel with a plush soft touch plastic finish to the bottom section and a warm faux leather finish up top. At 117 grams, it's only about 5 grams lighter than its rival, and with a similar folded size of 107 x 56 x 20 mm, it will slip unassumingly into your pocket. Number 2. Nokia 2660 Flip. The Nokia 2660 Flip is a comparatively cheapest chips phone that ditches the smarts in favor of feature phone functionality. Still, it manages to boast a dual SIM design with a removable battery for hand-me-down upgrade potential. Better yet, that battery life is as long as the Nokia 2660 Flip is easy to use. As you might expect with the bargain price though, performance isn't flash, it has a cheap feel, and there's only a single low-res camera for pics and video. The last time I carried around a flip phone was the iconic Motorola Razr. No, not the 2022 Motorola Razr, the original one. This was back in the day when it was viable to hang onto a phone for years and then pay it forward to a family member after a cheap internal battery upgrade, which I did. Fast forward to more recent times, and the world has gone smartphone mad. But deathly rumors of the unflatteringly named dumb phone are greatly exaggerated. In fact, one of the big names in mainstream old-school mobile phones is still pumping out new models today, including the Nokia 2660 Flip. I honestly thought I wouldn't get much joy out of the Nokia 2660 Flip, outside of the requisite nostalgia hit of a flip phone in my pocket. But I was pleasantly surprised there are phone cases, mounts, and charging devices that cost almost as much as the Nokia 2660 Flip. Basically, if you want a cheaper feature phone, you're looking at non-flip options like the Nokia 8210 4 grams or Opel Mobile Big Button M. With a $149 or up, the only real competition is the Opel Mobile Touch Flip if you're after a flip feature phone. Otherwise, you're upping the budget to closer to $200 when you start to access cheap Android phones. Number 1. Nokia 8210. I vividly remember when I watched Charlie's Angels for the first time, I could not get my eyes off the Nokia 8210. I must have been in my early teens in 2000 and the geek in me wanted the phone at that time. Back then, I was too young to get a mobile phone, and now 22 years later, I got the opportunity to review the reimagined Nokia 8210 as a tech writer. The new Nokia 8210 brings back the era of simple phones but with a few modern touches. Like the rest of the Nokia originals, the revamped 8210 is a throwback for nostalgic collectors like me, but is also a well-intentioned social media detox tool. I will tell you who should and who should not buy a reboot version of the iconic Nokia 8210 in 2024. I knew I was in for a treat with the Nokia 8210 4G as soon as I slipped it out of its translucent plastic box. There was a feeling of nostalgia as I heard Nokia's signature power-up tone as I switched on the phone. The new Nokia 8210 doesn't look exactly like the original model released 2 decades ago, but they do have design similarities. While both phones have a similar silhouette, the new model is bigger in size. I would say the new Nokia 8210's design template is based on the revamped Nokia 6310, and this is clearly visible in the way the reboot version feels in hands. The new 8210 maintains the vibe of an old-school feature of yesteryears, though don't expect the same extreme durability from this newer model. A large 2.8-inch color screen adorns the top half of the phone rather than the monochrome display found on the original version, with a 4-way directional button and a central menu button. The display is bright enough to read text messages under direct sunlight. On the back of the phone is a VGA camera which is nowhere compared to the advanced cameras found on modern smartphones. The rear panel can be taken off. This gives you access to the SIM, micro SD card slot, and a removable battery, something you can't do on smartphones. At the top, there's a 3.5mm headphone jack and a torch, while the bottom houses the micro USB port for charging.